Welcome to this explainer. Grab your policy advisor hats because today we're tackling a critical shift that's happening right under our noses. We are going to evaluate how globalized remote work and these rolling corporate layoffs are actively threatening the stability of the domestic workforce. We hear a lot about the wonders of working from anywhere, but today we're looking at the data specifically from the perspective of the local employee, the person who is suddenly caught in the crossfire of this massive global labor migration. Let's jump right in.
So here's the million-dollar question to kick off our briefing. Is the traditional domestic job basically being replaced by a borderless, purely transactional workforce? It's a heavy question, right? To get to the bottom of it, we need to set a measured, analytical tone. We really have to evaluate the systemic vulnerabilities emerging in our modern labor markets and understand exactly what is happening to the qualified domestic employees who used to be the absolute backbone of our economy.
Here is our roadmap for today's assessment. We'll be unpacking 5 key areas: the broken psychological contract, the forever layoff era, the threat of digital arbitrage, nomads versus local stability, and finally, restoring workplace equilibrium.
Starting off with Section 1, the broken psychological contract. We've got to start by looking at this foundational metric of workplace stability, the psychological contract. According to researcher Denise Rousseau, this represents an employee's beliefs about the unwritten mutual obligations and implicit promises between them and their employer. Traditionally, this unwritten pact covers things like job security in exchange for loyalty, right? But here's the thing. Our modern, always-on tech culture, combined with this massive wave of remote detachment, is severely fracturing those implicit promises, and the traditional domestic employees feeling this breach deeply.
Which leads us right into Section 2, the forever layoff era.
The current reality for so many domestic workers is defined by what Glassdoor's chief economist is calling the forever layoff. Essentially, employers are quietly enacting these small, rolling job cuts, usually affecting fewer than 50 workers at a time. Why? Well, to quietly trim the payroll without catching negative headlines. But just imagine the psychological toll that takes. It stokes this deep, enduring unease among local employees. You aren't just worried about a single massive restructuring anymore, you are quite literally always looking over your shoulder. It's a tactic that slowly bleeds local talent dry and destroys any remaining organizational loyalty.
Moving on to Section 3, the threat of digital arbitrage. The real threat becomes super clear when we put these two models side by side. On one hand, you have your traditional domestic employee. This is someone who relies on organizational commitment, possesses deep institutional knowledge, and rightfully expects a local living wage to support their family. On the flip side, we have the offshore cloud worker. Think platform-based freelancers doing highly taskified labor across international borders. A lot of times, companies try to disguise this shift as automation forcing, pretending that AI is just taking over. But the data shows it often just means swapping out secure, local jobs for outsourced, highly exploitable global labor. It is a direct, serious threat to the qualified domestic worker. This quote hits the nail on the head regarding the dark side of these digital freelancing platforms. It's a mechanism that pushes workers to constantly beat down the price of their own projects just to secure the gig. It engages a literal race to the bottom, resulting in severe digital labor arbitrage. For the micro-paid remote providers, all those uncompensated hours spent just searching for work practically equates to wage theft. And for the domestic employee, it drastically undercuts their value. It makes it practically impossible to compete while trying to maintain a normal standard of living in their home country.
All right, let's look at Section 4, nomads versus local stability.
Let's zoom out to the community level and consider the quintessential borderless worker. Now, from a personal convenience standpoint, remote work is incredible for the individual. But from a policy perspective, it creates an incredibly detached workforce. These individuals usually lack deep ties to the local community. Actually, they tend to treat their host countries a lot like consumer platforms, staying while the conditions and tax rates are optimal and simply logging off and leaving when they aren't.
The economic engine driving this is called geoarbitrage. These nomads are combining the low cost of local living with much higher expat incomes. From the domestic employee's perspective, this creates an intensely uneven playing field right in their own neighborhood. You're earning a local wage, while the person next door is pulling in a massive tech hub salary while utilizing the exact same local resources.
When you weigh the economic data here, the squeeze on the domestic population becomes incredibly clear. Sure, it's true that digital nomads bring an influx of foreign capital and boost local hospitality, but the local destabilization, it is severe. We've seen this heavily documented in places like Madeira and Mexico City. This influx drives local inflation, fuels rapid gentrification, and actively crowds out local real estate. Think about the local domestic worker for a second. Your job security is actively threatened by offshore digital arbitrage on one side, and simultaneously your rent is skyrocketing because of an influx of highly paid digital nomads on the other. It genuinely results in the active exclusion of local hires and is a real threat to local community stability.
This brings us to our final section, Section 5, Restoring Workplace Equilibrium.
So how do we fix this? To mitigate these systemic vulnerabilities, we need concrete action. Organizations have to consciously step up and honor that implied bargain with their local workers. That means setting transparent promotion criteria and having clear, honest communication about the human dimensions of work. We absolutely must balance individual autonomy with collective identity to stop the erosion of corporate loyalty. And crucially, on the policy side, governments have got to get involved. They need to implement strategic, regulated frameworks for incoming digital nomads, like integrated single-portal government systems to ensure these transient populations contribute fairly without simply displacing and pricing out the domestic workforce.
I want you to consider this powerful realization from the Keenan Institute's analysis. Loyalty, when sincerely exchanged by both sides, is not a weakness, but a competitive advantage. That is the crucial takeaway here. Humanizing your workforce, prioritizing mutual trust, and actually investing in your domestic employees, that is how you build long-term economic resilience. Treating employees simply as transactional, spreadsheet items to be offshored or subjected to endless forever layoffs might yield some short-term savings, but make no mistake, it fundamentally destroys the foundation of a stable enterprise.
So, I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought. Can our local economies really afford to ignore this unwritten pact? When we blindly rush to embrace a completely transactional, borderless workforce, we have to start accounting for the true hidden costs to our communities, our housing markets, and our domestic stability. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this briefing has equipped you with a sharper, more analytical perspective on our modern labor landscape. Keep asking the tough questions, keep looking at the data, and I'll catch you next time.